connect, solve painful problems, raise amazing adults, and have healthy families. Welcome to the Sean Donahue Show. Jordan and I do this podcast because we want your family to be close and connected. And we want you to feel empowered and equipped in your most important job, the most important job in the world. Let's go deeper than this podcast. Head to my website, parentingmodernteens.com, and get my email straight to your inbox. And when you're ready to go deep and get serious coaching from me, join me in my VIP membership. Parents are teachers and every home is a school. So teach well, love well. All right, let's have some fun together. Welcome back, my fellow parents, to an episode of the Sean Donahue Show. I'm here with my man, someone I admire so much, Jordan Steele Higley, and we are here to share some stories of information and goodness. And I'm really glad you're tuning in today because I like to mix it up on this podcast, do something different. And Jordan, you and I were chatting recently about, hey, let's do a creative episode, and you had an idea.
Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like it because it seems like we are, super buddy on this podcast, but there's a lot I don't know about Sean Donahue, right? So he's a very busy man. He does a lot of amazing things. And over our lifespan, I'll try to get little nuggets of little stories from some of the stuff he does. And I take his wisdom and I use it, but I don't really know what his day-to-day is like. And so I was like, Sean, why don't you give us a snapshot of what it's like to step into the world of Sean Donahue? A lot of us listening have taken these tips and they are great. And we're going to learn about that in a second. But there are a lot of us who have no idea what it means to maybe get mentored by Sean or have our kids get helped by Sean. And so I was like, can you share some stories of what it's like when you're working with these crazy teens? Because let's be honest, some of them can be crazy, or these crazy parents, because let's be honest, some of us can be crazy, and give us an idea of what some of the hardest stuff you've had to do.
Yeah, I mean, I was hesitant when you first came up with that idea because it's like these are if I were to do this, which I am going to do it, these are people's private personal stories, and they're about minors.
Right.
These are about children, tweens, teens who went through some dark stuff, and their parents they're invited me into their families.
But the reason why I came up with that wasn't because I'm just like, oh, I want to read this novel, I want to watch this movie. It's like there's a lot of us that have this, and these stories can help us feel like, oh, we're not alone.
Yeah, that's the purpose. That's why we're doing this. This episode is you're going to hear 5 stories here. Really, really intense stories, and they're there to help you to grow as a parent, for you to learn about parenting, to learn about teen culture and what's happening. And so I'm excited to share them, but I am pretty nervous here that maybe I'm gonna, like, all the names have been changed. I'm gonna slip on a name. Our producer will have to edit it out, or I'm gonna make a mistake. I just decided that I'm gonna share this, and they're honoring stories so that if any of these families were to listen to this, they'd be like, yeah, Sean did this well. Because here's kind of the backstory. So I'm 45-year-old now, but I think it was over a decade ago, about 11 years ago, I started a new type of creative business. At that time, it was called Sean Donahue Family Coaching. And it was kind of similar to that TV show that you might have seen when you were younger, which is called the SuperNanny. So my team still does this, and I do kind of something different, but this is what I did at that time. I would travel to people's homes in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I would knock on their door. And I would show up just like the SuperNanny would on that TV show, and I would provide coaching for the family. Sometimes it would be just for the parents. Sometimes it would be just for the young person. And sometimes it would be family sessions. So I'm there in the nitty gritty, man, in the messiness. And it was always so like you never know what you're going to see when you knock on that door. And I'm here to tell you what I saw. I tell you some stories, man. I'm excited. I think everyone's excited. And I'm going to pick your brain about it because I'm sure it's very hard. I'm sure you've cried at times after you're done with your session. I mean, the stuff it's like you become a part of their family. So now what I do, just to be clear, I have a small team, and they do this now. They work in person with young people. And now what I mostly do is I focus mostly on the parents. So I do mostly parent coaching through Zoom, either in one-on-one sessions or in my VIP membership, which also comes with private time with me. And so, and these stories that I decided to choose to share with you, all of these stories had to do with me working directly in person with a teenager, because I have a lot of juicy stories to tell. A lot of success. I like to say humbly and gracefully and thankfully, I have a lot of success stories about parent coaching, about me working with the parents. But the most juiciest stories are definitely the ones with me in their homes, in the teenagers. So this is a podcast, and let's make some good TV. But before we do, can we just celebrate something? something real quick. I asked, I've shared this before because doing a podcast, everyone, is very isolating. It's very, very weird. I'm just literally staring at Jordan's face right now. I'm in California. He's in Georgia. We don't hear from him. There's no live audience here. So
Right.
we don't know, except for we see that we're rated towards the top 10 in the world in parenting podcasts. I occasionally get messages. So the best thing that happens one of the best things that happens for me, Jordan, is when people give us a podcast review on Apple Podcast Reviews, because that's the best way to get reviews, because Spotify doesn't provide that. So did you know we get positive reviews on Apple Podcast Reviews?
I try not to look because I get so much of that with being on the Weather Channel, and some of it's negative.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah,
and if people are mad, I'm sure it'll come to me in some way or another, but I don't want to feed myself with negativity. So I'm glad they're reviewing us. I'm sure we've got some 1 stars. I'm sure we've got some 5 stars. So thank you to everyone who reviews us.
Thank you. It really means a lot. So please, if you listen to this, please do me a favor. Just go there right after this episode and share some words, or just comment. And then after you that, leave me a message on one of our Instagrams. Here's a couple things that I just want to read a couple of them. Okay, here's one. I'm so incredible thankful to find this parenting podcast with Sean. We have 3 adopted kids from the foster system.
Oh, wow.
It's beautifully messy, and listening to the podcast is strengthening our relationship with all of our kiddos. Although we still have a long way to go, we feel so much more hopeful. Thankful for your content. Hopeful mama.
Oh, that's
how cool
awesome.
is that, man?
Someone adopting 3 people, that is so cool.
I mean, here's
foster parents, yeah.
Here's a simple one from Leah Grazie. Thanks for sharing your parenting advice. I'm surely a better parent because of the things that you share. Thank you so much. I mean, here's my favorite one. Okay, here's my favorite one. You ready? From, I think it's Gemma Jean Mary.
Gemma
Jean Mary. Yeah. She says, thank you, Jordan and Sean. This podcast gives a realistic view to many parents who are struggling. I love the advice that Sean gives, but for me, it's Jordan that makes the show. As Sean coaches, Jordan asks the questions that we're all thinking in our head.
Well, that's good.
I love it. The opening dialogue between the two make the podcast feel like you're involved in a group counseling session instead of making you feel like you're listening to a parenting audiobook. Thank you for your advice and encouragement, because we all know good parenting changes the world.
Gemma, thank you. That's awesome. That's a great review.
Oh, so thank you.
So cool.
Thank you, J8E. Thank you, JS Hale, 33. And here's one. I mean, as a father of 4, BG father times 4. This podcast has helped me continue to be the parent that I want to be. Gosh.
Oh, man. A dad listening. That's cool.
I know. It's such a,
cool.
So please keep your words fuel Jordan and I, and they encourage us. So Jordan, you ready to hear some stories, man?
Yeah.
I have not practiced these stories.
So, no, that's okay.
I have not ever told them. And
this is authentic.
Think about this. I don't really get to tell these stories about my work. Like, do you think I'm hanging out like at a 4th of July party and like my friends, 4th of July party, my friends like, hey, Sean, tell us like a really dark, juicy story from your work. Like, people don't ask me that. Like, who does? You know what I mean?
I have an uncle who's a firefighter. I'm like, hey, what's the craziest call you've been on over the last 6 months? I'm always trying to get into
that. He probably likes it. Yeah. Now, think about that. If you have people that have like an intense work, just even ask them, hey, tell me something interesting about your work. And that's the thing, because, your local, like your friends, whether they have a confidentiality or not, they can still tell you their story. They just change the names. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's what I'm going to do here today. So this is definitely I got some very intense stories you're about to hear. I mean, this is really, really, in fact, here's another thing, Jordan. This is going to be our first episode where, dude, I'm going to put an E for explicit language up on it, man. Dang. I'm going to drop some swear words here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So first, before you get into this story, tell us what stage of life you were in, kind of what era and all that.
And the only reason I'm going to swear is because this is what some of the kids, they typed me. That's what they texted me. Those is they wrote. So so I'm 45 now. Most of these stories happened between, when I was 35 to 41. Okay. So most of these have happened. The ones that I picked happened in the past. And I have a lot. Yeah, that's just because that's just the way it worked out. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so I meet this dad, and you have a consult call. So we meet up at Fuddruckers, and he's telling me about his son. We're going to call him Tommy. All right, Tommy. Okay. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? So he's telling me about how they recently moved to a new city, about an hour away from their current city.
Okay.
And their son Tommy only went to school for like a week and then said, I'm not going anymore. And then he's like,
How old
"Why
is
aren't you
Tommy?
going?"
How old is Tommy?
Tommy is a sophomore in high school.
Okay.
Tommy is about, 5'11". And I'll tell you how he looks in a second. Okay. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Why is he going to school? He's like, he won't tell me. I was like, so what does he do all day? He's like, he sits in his room. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, why? I have to go to work. So I go to work and he's in his room. Well, when you go and talk to him, what happens? Oh, he cusses me out. He says, get the fuck out of my room. I was like, okay. So is he going to be open to meeting with me? He says, no. I was like, okay. So yeah, have you tried to get him to a therapist or to a psychologist? Say, oh, he refuses. It's like, all right. And so let's make a plan. So here's the plan we made. I'm going to go into this house and I'm going to try to find out what's going on with this kid. And we actually map out a plan for what happens if you refuse to meet with me. Okay. So we make a plan, and it was actually a 4-day plan. And here's how it worked. And it actually worked out just as we planned. So I showed up at the house, and now the first time that I'm there, the dad was there. So he lets me in because the dad has to go to work.
Can I get time out, Rose? For a second?
Anytime. Because
Okay.
I haven't told this story very rarely, so I'm going to be missing holes. Okay.
But there was something that I was thinking about that maybe some viewers or listeners are thinking about too. What would happen if the dad just dropped the kid off at school and said bye and drove away?
He won't get in the car. He wouldn't even get in the car.
He won't even get in the car.
No, we're talking a 5'11".
Yep.
Alpha male.
Sophomore,
so I'm asking. Sophomore. So tell me, what are his hobbies? He says, well, he's really into classic rock. He's really into World War II, which is like a thing. There's a lot of young people that are like into World War II history, memorabilia, tanks. Okay. And he's traditionally been a pretty good student. He's like a very, very, very intellectual, very good conversationalist. And I was like, well, what does he do all day? He's like, I don't know. I know he comes out and he eats. And
does Todd have a mom? Is the mom in the picture?
No mom in the picture. Okay, and at this point, I was like, well, so I'm thinking, okay, well, what's going on with screens? Is he a screen addict? Is he just playing video games all day? He's like, oh, my son is definitely addicted to screens. That's what led us here. What do you mean? Well, he stopped going to school. So I tried to pep talk him, try to help him. I know it's hard being a new kid in school, but he wouldn't go. He literally just stayed home and played video games. Okay. So then I took the screens away and he started getting violent with me, telling me, cussing me out, telling me how much he hates me. And then it didn't work. He didn't go to school. So then I made a deal with him. Okay, you get your screens back if you go to school. So I gave him his screens back and he went to school for like an hour and then he walked home. He won't go to school. He won't talk to me. I do not know what's going on with my son.
Okay.
Pretty intense, right? Really so what do you do in this situation? You don't have many options. Boarding schools have an option. It's called a transport. Where two big men come in the middle of the night and they put you into the cargo van. So here I am. So I show up to the door and I walk up to his room. I have no idea what he looks like. And the door is closed. And the dad already told him I'm coming over. So I knock. Hey, Tommy. Hey, man, my name is Sean. How's it going? I love to get to know you, talk. We could talk through the door if you want. You want to hear what's going on? And silence. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, knock again. Hey, man, I can be very patient. I know you probably don't want me here. I know you've probably been through a lot. I know you don't want to talk to me, but your dad really cares about you. He loves you. And he really wants us to talk. Can we please talk? And he's like, no, I'm not talking. Get out of here. Mm-hmm. Come on, man. Let's just talk. We can talk anything you want. We talk about music. We talk about sports, World War II. Let's just get talking. It's okay. We can talk through the door if you want. And now he starts cussing me out. And like I said, It's okay. I know some of you do not like cussing, but I'm going to drop some swear words in this. So now he's cussing me out. So now I'm going to talk to some freaking counselor coming to my house. Who the hell are you? Get out of my house. Right. Now, we had a 3-day plan, Jordan, that I was going to come to that house for 3 days. And so for 3 days,
I thought it was a 4-day plan. 3-day plan. Okay.
A 4-day plan. But for 3 of those days, I was going to go to his house and I was going to try to beg him, woo him to come and talk with me. And so what I did the first day, I took a chance. I opened the door and I peeked in and I saw something pretty interesting. I saw
that first day. That first day?
Probably the first day.
Right when you were still talking about that. Okay.
Maybe the second day.
Okay.
I opened the door. It was probably the second day. I opened the door because I want to see who was looking out here. He didn't have a lock on the door. And I see a really pale looking teenage dude, bed against the back wall, sitting on the bed. Like maybe like, you know, there's like books on the side of the ground, black, hair, like kind of longer off to the side, totally
like emo,
unkempt.
like an emo.
Yeah,
like?
emo. And
Okay.
it smelled in there
Mhm.
because he doesn't leave. He's got food in there. And he walks to the door and he gently shuts the door in my face. And so I start talking more. And I said, now on day 2, I'm like, hey, man, I heard from your dad. You got to talk with me. Please just tell me what's going on. Tell me why you don't want to go to school. It's okay. And more cussing me out, calling me names. I saw you. Look at that fucking shirt you're wearing. You look like an idiot. He's just like now putting me down. Right.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to be loving. I'm trying to be calm and cool. I'm like, can we talk about, something? And then I start talking a little bit about music, classic rock, Skinner, Creedence, World War II. And he'll start talking a little bit. Then he shuts it down. So then I'll open the door and he shuts it. And you get the dance, right? So then the theme is this. Hey, man, I got to let you know, you got to talk with me. We could do this the hard way or the easy way. Now I sound like a cop from those cop shows.
Good.
I got to come in. You got to let me in. And we're either going to come in or you're going to let us in. I'm going to come in and your dad's going to come in or you're going to let us in. So by the 4th day, right, 4 days straight, it's time for us to come in. And this is where it gets pretty nuts. You ready?
Yeah. Did you ever fear for your life at all? Did you ever fear that when you walk in there, he could have something that could harm you? Were you ever?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, you were. Okay.
World War II is about war.
Yeah, I know.
And about weapons. And yes.
Okay.
Right. And so here it is on day 4. I think it was like Thursday now. We have a plan. His dad was going to read him an intervention letter. And pretty much the letter said this. I love something like this, something we crafted together. I love you so much. I can't just sit back and see you live this way because he's been in this room for weeks at this point. Weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so today the plan was for him to read this letter. And the letter was going to say, I'll tell you what it says in a second. Okay. And we go in there and he starts trying to barge the door closed.
Right. So you force your way in.
We force our way in and he initially dad starts reading the letter and he starts cussing his dad out. He takes this paper out of his hands. Yep. He riches it and he starts pushing his dad. Now his dad is a strong dude, probably 5'11" himself, he's a grown man, but we had already had a plan that his dad was not going to get physical with him. Right. That just wouldn't be good for the relationship. Sure. But I was there to protect everybody. And so he starts pushing his dad and cussing him out. So I then get in the middle and I'm like, no, man, I'm not going to let you touch your dad. And he starts coming at me now. Right. So I push him off me because he's now in my face. Right. And he comes at me, dude. He comes at me. And so I used a move that the last time I used this move was probably when I was in high school and I was bowling my little sister. Move? Wrestling move. I pin his arm behind his back and I throw him onto his own bed, belly down, arm behind his back. Here we are. You'll see me on freaking Instagram as the family coach talking about loving connection.
Yeah, this is years ago when you were
my arm. I was like, will you calm down? Will you stop? I could have easily just snapped that arm so quickly, right? Of
course. Yeah.
He's like, okay, I'll stop. And then he gets up and he's saying stuff like, I'm going to fucking kill you, man. I'm going to fucking kill your family. Right. I'm going to find out where you live. I'm going to go to your house. I'm going to kill your wife. I'm going to kill your kids. I'm going to fucking kill my brother. I'm going to kill everybody. And I'm like, oh my gosh. At least that was not verbally attacking it or physically attacking
but he's verbally. Okay. So you got the situation.
Okay, this is scary because right now I don't know if he has a knife on him. Right. I don't know if he has a gun. His dad owns like 20 guns, by the way. And so
at least you were able to stop in that situation, right?
Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna have your dad leave the room, and I'm gonna sit here quietly, and we're gonna sit in quiet for 30 minutes. I want you to calm down. I'm gonna calm down. Your dad really cares about you. And I want you to think about what you're going to do because you have to make a decision right now. Option one is we're going to call 911 and we're going to 5150 you. You're going to be taken to the youth mental hospital and you will not be coming back. It's okay. No, I'll just lie to him. I'll get out. I'll just lie to him. No, you won't be lying to them. You will be in there for a long time based on what you just said. You're a danger to your health, self and others. Mm-hmm. And after that, you might go directly to a boarding school. Or you're going to apologize for what you just said. And you're going to say, I didn't really mean that. I was just very angry. And we're going to work this out. And your dad's going to read you a letter. So think about your decision. So for 30 minutes, we sat there. And at the time, then I go down the stairs to check with his dad. I was like, hey, man, like, is he really going to do that stuff? Is he going to hurt his brother? Is he going to hurt me, my family? He's like, no, man. He was just saying that. I was like, really? Can I trust you? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, sure. Can I trust you? He's like, yeah, I just think he's got a sweetheart. He's just really hurting. So we go back and he says, no, I do not mean that. I will not hurt you, hurt my brother, or hurt my family. And then I said, thank you. Are you sure? Because I will call 911. We'll take you away right now if you're not genuine about this. And so you can see the tension is starting to go down, right? Any questions so far?
The question I have is, did you get the history on this of maybe potentially you understanding why he was like this? Did the mom die?
No.
Did they get a divorce?
No, the parents were divorced, but I knew nothing.
Okay. You knew nothing. The dad didn't tell you. The
dad knew nothing because, the dad's not psychic and you don't know what you don't know. So you only make guesses about it. So then the dad reads the intervention letter, go to boarding school to work, a therapeutic boarding school, or agree to work with Sean 5 days a week.
Mm.
And he's like, I have to meet with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah. So starting the next day, I showed up. I said, hey, what do you want to do? You want to go for a walk? You want to go get food? You want to, he's like, let's go for a walk. So every day for a period of, I think 3 weeks, 5 days a week, me and Tommy went for walks. Sometimes we walked to eat sushi together because it had a very interesting palate. Sometimes we played video games together and then we talked. And here's what I found out. Tommy's mom was a very mean parent. Very mean to Tommy. Used to call him names. Used to hit him. Used to spank him. Used to just be like, have narcissistic traits. He used to protect his younger brother from the mom. All the while, Tommy is getting angry at the dad. You tell me, Jordan, why would he be angry at his dad?
Because that's the only person there. Maybe because that's your punching bag. You can't punch at your mom. Your mom's not there. Your mom's not around.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thought.
I think that's good. That's true. Also because
maybe he blames his dad that she was like that.
It's all good. Also, what I found out is because the dad did not protect him from his mom.
Ah, there you go.
So then one day the mom leaves the whole family, leaves a Dear John letter behind. It says, I'm moving to a different state, 10 states away, and you may never see me again. That's it.
Mm.
And now here he is a month or two later in a new city, in a new school, and he just has to go to school and figure this out. He couldn't do it. This kid had been through major trauma and shock, and he was not feeling safe. He was not feeling good about his life. And to make matters worse, his younger brother had continued an emailing and texting relationship with the mom. And so what do we do? Well, we started working on his pain and his trauma, and he started warming up to me. He started saying nice things to me. He started getting out of the house. He started making good deals with his dad. He started going to an alternative school. He started doing his homework. He started getting some screen time back. He started, he started a hobby. He had to get a challenge. He said, if you want screen time, you're going to have to start exercising. Mm-hmm. He said, I don't want to exercise. You have to go on more walks. So he picked a sport. He started playing that sport. He started to get a job. He said, I want to get a job. He said, if you want screen time, you got to get a job. He got a job. And this young man, he built his life back together. And then
that's amazing.
A year or two later, he sent me a text on December 20th. He says, "Hey man, I hope you're having a happy holiday season with your wife and kids."
Oh,
And we've been texting each other, and mostly around the holidays every year since then. He's a project manager. He's putting himself at a tech company. He doesn't have a college degree, and he is the boss of other people who have college degrees. He's totally reconciled with his brother, with his dad. He has friends. He exercises, and he's putting himself through community college, man.
That's amazing. So a couple things that, we can take away from the story. And one of them is obviously that was a really rough situation, and you had to create a bang. You had to create a moment where you could get like instantaneous respect, because if you weren't to get physical in that one moment, who knows what would have happened to his dad? Who knows if he would have started swinging at you? But you had to like put an end to it. It's like when the kids are screaming, you take a pot and smash it together and say, "Stop." It's like a loud jolt to cause them to stop in that moment.
Yeah.
And then from there, you were able to slow things down. You took your timeouts. You built everything back, and it took time. It sounds like this process went along a long way.
Yeah, I think that's a couple of the takeaways. If you have a really, 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 really bad situation, here's a couple of things to take away. One is it takes drama. You have to be dramatic. And some of that might mean dramatic changes or dramatic like interventions. You know what I mean? That's something I've learned from doing this for so long, right? You can't
it's almost
just
like the kid has to come to respect you in a way, whether it's that what you did or like in a different way. They see you differently. They have to have some kind of respect for you, and you earn respect in that moment.
Yeah, it's a fine balance, because like what they would have done in the 70s and 80s is just use all power and no lovey-dovey stuff. So what many parents today struggle with their teenagers, Jordan, is they struggle with using power. Like they're afraid of their kid. Their kids are punching holes in the wall, and they're using violence to threaten, and they're just afraid of being parent. They're afraid of standing up because they're afraid of the outcomes.
Right.
And I don't blame them. It is very scary, but you cannot let a young person like have the power in the house. It's not healthy. It's not the way the family was designed.
Well, I'm glad that the dad, he had a big fork in the road, and it was, what do I do? And you were one of the outlets that could have probably been the best one. If we have a magic 8-ball or a time machine and could go back and change your path, I wonder what this Todd, Tim, Tommy, whatever his name is, I wonder what would have happened. I wonder if he would have went even darker. What could it have been worse?
Oh, so much dark stuff that he was involved with online. Now let's talk about something dark, but not in a traditional sort of dark. Imagine this girl. We're going to call her Catherine. Imagine her freshman in high school. She's got blonde hair past her shoulders. If you saw her in person, you would be like, she is so lovely, like a dream daughter. And this is not an X-rated story. This is a PG story of how Catherine acts. But in the inside, there is some dark, horrible stuff that's going on. And let me tell you about what we did with her. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
So this girl was really having severe anxiety. She was starting to, throw up before school. She was having a fear of going to school. She was just feeling insecure. And she was feeling like, really, really anxious. And this is a pretty typical situation for a lot of teenagers. You with me? It doesn't sound too outlandish, does it?
No.
But let me tell you why I just feel so good about this success story, about what we did. I developed an activity years ago, and I might have even made a book out of this activity. I call it your top 5 thoughts. Have you ever heard me chat about that on this podcast?
No, I like it though. No, I've never heard it. This is the first time.
All right. Here, we could, it's really interesting. So we
know what yours are.
Why? What are my thoughts? What?
Just something you talk about often on this podcast. Nothing. Never mind. Keep going.
Oh, okay. I don't even know what you're talking about. What? Okay. I guess we'll keep going. Okay. So what I'll do is I do this with parents sometimes, but my team and I really do this a lot with young people. I just did it. Just doing it recently with somebody I'm working with. I learned that if you ask somebody, Jordan, hey, tell me your top 5 thoughts in life, that person, no matter what age they are, they can answer you. Like, what do you think about? Like, tell me right now. Put you on the spot. Tell me a couple of things.
Okay.
Couple of thoughts you think about.
Future planning. I think about that all the time. Okay.
You're very futuristic. Okay.
Futuristic. Try to retire early. Try to, take care of the family.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Think about that a lot. I think about how grateful I am for where I am and my family. Is
Love
that count?
it.
Does that
Yes,
count?
it sure
Okay.
does. It sure does. What else? Don't think too much about it.
Okay.
We're
I
thinking
think
about your thoughts. What else?
how many idiots there are out there in the real world.
Oh,
I mean, I'm just like, I get so mad. I'm like, are you really this dumb? Like, come
Right.
on.
Oh,
I
my
get
gosh.
so mad at people.
Okay. All
All
right.
I'm
Yeah.
just being
What
honest
else?
for a second.
No, I love
Some
it.
dumb
Just keep it
people out
real. Yeah. Yeah.
there.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Those are the top three that I.
All right.
I
Good.
think
Yeah.
about.
For me, like, I think a lot about what am I going to have for dinner? Right.
Okay. Yeah.
'Cause I do a lot of
big.
intermittent fasting, like every day, like including today. So I really am into dinner, and like what I'm going to eat. I think a lot about my wife, just being with her, kissing with her,
Right.
being close with her.
That's what I was alluding to last time.
Yeah, I figured you were, you perv. Yeah. I figured you were. I think a lot about what I'm going to do on the weekends because I just love being outdoors, man.
Yeah.
I just love weekends. Weekends are
hunting.
so
I think
fun.
about my hunting trip or like an outdoors trip, fishing. I think about that often. Yeah.
I often think about too what I'm grateful for, like in my prayer life, my spiritual life, just gratitude. But here's what I asked Catherine. Here's her results. Ready? Her results when she first took this testament. This is what she said. Now imagine, and I'm going to ask you, tell me, based on what you're hearing from her top 5 thoughts, what do you think she's like? What do you think her personality is like? What are her relationships like with her family, her friends, her self-esteem with herself? Her number one thought in life. This is her result. Ready?
Yeah.
I have a whole book of recorded thoughts from teenagers of their answers. I have learned so much about human beings from asking teenagers this question. Are you ready for this?
I believe it.
I'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Her number 5 thought in life. If I'm being awkward, they probably won't want to talk to me again.
Okay. Self-conscious.
Okay.
Yep.
Number 4. Do I have anything on my face?
Self-conscious. Okay.
Number 3. Are people looking at me?
Oh man, this is a problem. Okay.
Number 2. How will this affect my grade?
Okay.
And her number one thought in life, this wonderful, lovely, great home, great parents, lovely girl. Her number one thought in life is I'm probably being awkward right now.
Dang. That is so sad. I mean,
why is
honestly,
that sad? Why is that sad?
Well, because it's just like, that just shows you what like growing up in society is like. I mean, kids being bullies and picking on each other. Like my son, we bought him these shoes. He went to school. They were making fun of him because they're like, those are fake. We bought him a jacket, making fun of him. Like, it's just constantly having to battle stupidness and dumb people. And it just makes me sad for someone who should be having fun. You're at an age where it's like, this is awesome. You're in high school and this is what you have to think about because of other kids, other people.
Yeah. If you like this, hang tight on this episode because the next 2 stories I have, it has their thoughts too. So here's what we did. I put her through kind of my coaching process. And if you want your teenager or tween or college age student to go through this, you can contact us and we can put them through this process. And we did some great work with them, helping her to understand her own mind or mindfulness and really all these things we have about mindset. And then I had her take the assessment at the end of our time together. And can I tell you the results? Ready?
Please.
Like I said, this is not an X-rated story of drugs or violence or
this is a
swear
great
words.
story. This is a self-improvement.
Yeah, this is the most everyday teenage story of what it takes. And this is if you're sending your child or yourself to the therapist, this is what ROI you're looking for. Here's what she said. Okay, ready? In no particular order, this is what her top 5 thoughts were. Ready? You are allowed to talk and speak up.
Nice.
Isn't that great?
That's great. I don't know how you got her to believe that. That's awesome.
That's what she thinks about now.
Yeah, because of whatever you taught her, right? It's
imagine being your number one thought in life is, I'm probably being awkward. What is that going to do for you? Your mental health. You're going to cause yourself anxiety.
You're going to
lower your own low self-esteem. You're going to ruin your own life with that thought.
Correct.
Such a poisonous thought. It's like, I tell them, it's like drinking right out of a Clorox bleach. In fact, I've done that. I've literally done this so many times. Not so much anymore because now I mostly focus on the parents. I will walk into a Target or a shopping store with a teenager. This was back in the old SuperNanny days. I will then tell them, hey, I will have a glass with me and I will open up a bleach or an ammonia. I'll pour it into a glass. I will hand it to the teenager and I will say, drink this. And I'm dead serious in my look. I'm like, I want them to drink it. What do you think they say? What do you think they do?
I probably look at you like you're friggin' crazy. What are
There
you
was only
talking about?
one kid that I worked with that it was like he started to mess with me like he was going to drink it. And I really thought there's a chance this kid would drink it. This kid has some issues. But essentially, the message is this: look, these thoughts you're poisoning yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're poisoning yourself, your beautiful self. Here's her next thought in life. There is a very low chance of this worst case scenario happening. That's one of our top 5 thoughts.
I like that.
Yeah.
There's a very low chance of a worst case scenario. That allows you to be a risk taker. I really love that.
Yeah. So it's like the antidote to this thing that therapists call catastrophizing is that. Like, I'm not going to catastrophize. The chances of that happening are very low.
Very low.
Here's the next one. Is there food in my braces?
Okay.
Isn't that cute?
So there's still
Isn't that cute?
Yeah. Okay.
Isn't that cute? And next one. Remember to project confidence. That's what she thinks about. That's what she thinks about.
That's very
now.
mature. Very
And
mature.
here's my favorite one. Ready? What do I want?
Nice.
What do you think that means? What do I want?
Well, it finally gives someone the power back to themselves. Before, she gave everybody else the power. I was just talking to my daughter about this the other day. I was reading a book from the Bible. It was 1 Corinthians, and it was basically a comment where it's like, stop looking at other humans for self-satisfaction because you're not going to find it. Stop looking for approval from your peers because no matter what, let's say you have 5 approval and 1 disapproval, you're going to focus on the disapproval.
Yes.
You can't make everybody happy.
Yeah,
and the reality of the story in the Bible is the only one who you need to worry about judging you is God and Jesus and blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying is you have taught her this inwardly to stop looking at outside sources that could impact her and say, no, I am in charge of my life. I get to decide what I want to do and how I feel.
Well said, buddy. I think
that was a beautiful story. Do you... I just went into like more of like a religious side of it, but do you ever get into that balance of good, evil, Bible,
all the time?
Jesus?
All the time. I mean, there's
some...
a lot of ways to build esteem, whether you're using spiritual truths or theories or philosophies or not. Like, for example, here's something I teach. Self-esteem comes from doing esteemable things.
Yeah, that's good.
Does that make sense? Doesn't that make sense? How about this truth? The most powerful voice in your own life is your own voice. Right. So some people like might be spiritual and they say, no, it's the voice of God. It's God. No, it's not. I'm sorry to mimic that, but it's not true because everywhere you go, your voice goes with you. And so it's like you have to train our minds and our voice to speak goodness and speak truth to ourselves. So I don't believe in positive thinking. I teach people and I believe in true thinking. Let's think about true things.
Well, now, I mean, and that's even written in the Bible about how to think, how to speak, the power of the tongue and all of that.
That's so true. For those of us that are into historical, truths or philosophy or mindfulness, all this stuff, a lot of the stuff that you see out here today, it's not new. This is ancient old wisdom. Now let's talk about something dark. Let me tell you about one of the darkest situations I've ever seen. Okay. We're going to call him Shane. Are you ready for Shane?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a friend named Shane once.
Shane.
He was a little dark too.
So Shane Shane's parents contacted me because he has a severe screen addiction, addicted to his phone, addicted to his video games. Now, he had a more well-balanced high school career where screens were definitely a huge issue, but the parents hoped, like a lot of parents do, that he would grow out of it in college. The reality is that my team and I work with a lot of college freshmen, and they do not grow out of it. In fact, just because your high school student might be got accepted to university, that means they're academically prepared to go to college, but they may not be socio-emotional prepared to go off to university.
Preach it, 100%, man. That is so true.
And so check out this dark family drama here. Here's the short version of it. I mean, I start seeing him on a Zoom call, and just like the previous kid, this is a really good-looking kid, but his skin is so pale. And I put him through this first activity, one of these open activities of like your top 5 thoughts. And I'll tell you what he said in a second, but just imagine this. Imagine having your son go off to university and, you look at his grades and they're F's. You look at his attendance. He doesn't go.
Oh,
this dude stopped going to class and doesn't leave his apartment. Get ready for this. I said, do you ever hang out with your roommates? No. Then I asked more and more questions. You know how in some dorm rooms they have like you have your private bedroom, but then you share a kitchen?
Yeah, or a bathroom. Yep.
Or a bathroom?
Yep.
And so it was one of those situations. So I think living with friends and your peers when you're in your 20s, that's fun. Like that's what you want to do, right? You don't want to live by yourself. That could be lonely.
Sure.
And I said, well, do you ever talk to your roommates? No. Hold on. You've been living there for 6 months. You don't hang out, talk, play video games? No. No one talks to anyone here. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, what about when you guys run into each other in the kitchen?
Common area, right.
He's like, nope. Do you greet each other? No. Do you give yourself like a head bob? Like, what's up? Not really. Are you telling me here, Shane, is it one of those situations where you'll purposely put your headphones in when you go to the kitchen so you do not have to talk? He said, yeah, that's what I do. I said, how common is this? He's like, this is pretty common. I did not know that.
This is common in the real world right now?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm so out of the elements. I mean, I talk to people, I talk for a living. So I just am always like, hey, how's it going? What's your name? What do you do? I can't imagine
I've worked with numerous college students, and this is how they agree. Different from Canada to the US. This is what's happening for some college age students. It's a thing.
Oh my gosh. Can I ask what college? Does it matter which college?
Doesn't matter. No,
it doesn't
all
matter.
colleges. All colleges. Did you know that there was an article that came out, I think it was in the Journal or New York Times like 15, 20 years ago. I wish I had the article to read for you today, but it was about this this thing that was happening in Japan. And in Japan at the time, they had this thing where there was becoming thousands and thousands of young men who did not leave their apartment. And they stayed in their apartment 24/7. And the Japanese, they came up with a name for it. And the men would order food to the house because they had DoorDash before we did. They would even pay women and girls to come to their house to watch them play video games.
What?
And when I read that, I was like, holy crap. I wonder if that's going to come to America. I was like, no way. We would never go for that here in America. It came, man. And then it got worse during COVID. It's here right now. It's happening. No, it's happening to young men and women right now. They do not leave their places, man. They DoorDash, they get Instacart, and they live on a screen.
Oh, that is so sad. So how do you balance that? So you are chatting with this guy, Shane.
Well,
and you're trying to get him outside.
He wants to change, but he doesn't want to change, right?
Yeah,
He's addicted. He's addicted. He's addicted. He feels so. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Is it anxiety?
Sure.
Is it this? Is it fear? He's like, yeah, there's a little bit of anxiety. What's going on? Is it just screen addiction? I mean, we're talking mindlessly scrolling through like, you know,
I worry about the VR world of it being like that. Ready Player One, everyone living in this realm and not being able to just speak to another human being.
It's here. It's arrived, man. So you ready for this? Here's his results for his top 5 thoughts. You ready?
At the end of your session?
No, man. At the beginning.
No, the beginning.
Ready? Number 1 thought in life. What do you think it's going to say? Based on what you know about it, what do you think his number 1 thought in life is?
What does everybody think about me? What does the world think about me? I don't know, something to where it's self-conscious.
Number 1 thought in life. I'm just going to watch my show.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Makes sense,
Same
right?
side. Yeah.
Why study? Why exercise? Why eat right? Why be grateful? I'm just going to watch my show. That's what I'm doing. He's just existing. Number 2 thought. My future is not worth the struggle.
Whoa. Man,
Number 3 thought.
Him that?
Number 3 thought in life. Right. Where does number 3 thought in life is I'm shit at this.
Oh my gosh.
Number 4, my existence is pointless. And number 5 should not come to any surprise. I'm bad at dealing with people.
Mm-hmm.
So of all the things that this young person could be thinking about, what do you think he's like? If a person thinks these thoughts, what do you think he's like?
So he's talking. He doesn't talk. He sits in the corner.
Right, man. He's awkward
avoids
around people.
confrontation.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to. Yeah.
Because here's the truth. Our thoughts become a reality. So if you think this way about yourself, then this was going to happen. Now, I worked with him a lot, and he had lots of ups and downs. He had relapses. So here's one of the themes that I got through working with him. I said to him, Shane, I can see your future, and it's very bright.
Mm-hmm.
For you to get through this, for you to break your screen addiction, for you to find esteemable things, find joy, find meaning and purpose, you need to find your people. I said, you haven't found your people, and you haven't found your thing. You haven't found your one thing in life that just lights that fire under you, that passion. You haven't found your thing. Like if you were Michael Phelps, famous swimmer, it's like you're Michael Phelps before he found swimming. It's like you have not discovered what it is yet.
You're lost.
You're lost. And I've got good news for you. You're going to find it. You're going to try new things. And it won't be that, and it won't be this. And you're not going to give up. And you're going to keep trying. And then you're going to find it. And you're going to be like, I like this. Yeah. And then you're going to find your people. And they're going to like it. And then you're going to find a girl. And she's going to be into it. And you guys are going to fall in love. And you're going to be totally different one day. And it's going to take you step by step. And your parents love you. I love you. We're going to do this one step at a time. Here's his thought life 1 year later. And then I'm going to read you a text. Right?
Okay.
1 year later, the anniversary of his first thought life. Here's what he wrote. In no particular order. What is my daily workout today?
Oh,
Number
nice.
2.
Wow.
What do I have to get done today? Number 3 thoughts about his dog.
Oh, that's sweet.
He likes thinking about his dog.
Yeah.
He misses his dog. He loves his dog. He doesn't even live with his dog. He's off at university. And his number 4 thought, I might as well try.
Nice. That is so different. Okay. Nice.
Right? So here he is. Here's a text that I recently got from him. Are you ready for this? All right. I got to make sure I change his name. Hey, Sean. Thanks for reaching out to me. And I hope you're doing well and you had a good holiday. I've been doing much better lately. Last year, 2023, from spring to the end of fall, I worked as a canoe guide in the Algonquin Park, which was amazing. I was able to go on canoe trips on my days off, and I lived with about 40 coworkers and was able to have some really fun times. When we spoke before, I really have a plan for my future, but I'm really excited to become an outdoor adventure guide now.
Wow.
So come fall, I'm taking a 2-year college program to get my certifications. In the meantime, I moved to the Yukon.
Whoa.
It's been a real change
Way
with the
up there.
temperatures here averaging around minus 25 degrees Celsius and dropping as low as minus 50 in the winter. But I've really been enjoying it so far. The landscape is beautiful. I've been hiking and skiing regularly. And come spring, I'm starting mountain biking, canoeing. I still struggle with a lot of anxiety, but I started taking supplements to manage it. And just getting out into nature and being active has really helped. All told, I feel like I finally have something I want to do with my life, and I'm feeling much less stressed and happier. Sorry for the mountain of text.
Oh,
Dude.
Shame. Dude, that must have put a huge smile ear to ear on your face.
I hope he's okay with me sharing this.
Or what about his parents? I didn't even ask
I haven't checked
them.
in with him. I haven't checked in with them.
I mean, but even the five thoughts a year later, were the parents like, oh my gosh, he's a completely different human being?
I don't know. I think sometimes it's an overnight change, and sometimes, like in Shane's situation, I think it just takes time. You know, he had to work through some issues, and
of course,
it takes time. Yeah, so I don't know. I wish I had interviewed the parents before this.
But like
podcast.
the story before of the daughter, like me looking at the before and after as a father, I would just melt knowing that you helped completely shift the entire life of my child. Like that is so cool, man.
You know, the hero of this story is definitely Shane. I mean, the parents, me, the other relatives, he was the one that did the work. Just like in all the stories I'm telling you here today, you know, it's Tommy. Tommy's the hero of this story. Catherine's the hero of the story. And now I'm going to tell you about how Sarah is the hero of her story. Are you ready for this?
Ready.
Okay. So now imagine you've got a freshman cheerleader, and your daughter has excelled in cheer. And we're not talking about excelled. We're talking like she does the flips.
She's a big
She does
athlete.
the throws.
Sure.
She's like the star of the team.
Yeah.
She's just very happy, healthy girl. But then something happens in her mental health and some dark stuff starts happening. And you get scared as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to traditional therapy and it doesn't work. Maybe another therapist, and then you call Sean and say, we've got to get to the root of this. What is going on? And so here is what we did with we're going to call her Sarah. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, one of the things that Sarah was struggling with was self-harm, cutting herself. I've seen this many times. It's
Do you
really
know?
hard to see.
I've never understood that. Do you have an understanding as to why that is? What is the point of?
Yeah.
Is there a reason?
Yeah, usually there's very, very normal.
It's like I'm mad at myself, so I have to harm myself. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I'm punishing myself.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a variety of reasons. Yep. If you really break it down, you would see that there's a lot of very, I guess I'll use the word normal, maybe adequate or rational reasons why people cut themselves. One of the reasons too, it just takes the pain away in the moment. It's kind of like a quick, like an alcoholic might just go.
Oh, like it masks the deeper pain. Okay.
Yep. The physical
'Cause you're
pain.
focusing on something different.
Yep. Focusing gets the mind on the physical pain in a similar way of how somebody might, instead of raging or yelling at their kids, they go off and do 25 push-ups. It just takes their mind away. Well, that would be a positive thing, self-harm and cutting themselves. But to see, some of these lovely young people just have cuts on their arms, scabs, or on their upper thighs. It's just so sad. And you know that something is off in their minds and they've got to fix their mind because the thoughts dictate everything. And so even this girl has even a story of her, like numerous times in these heat of the moments with her parents, this poor girl would race out to the garage and she's looking for something sharp in the garage to cut herself. Can you imagine that?
I can't imagine that. I cannot imagine that.
So scary. This is a girl that is literally having mental breakdowns at her public school, like crying, gasping for breath, like having anxiety, panic attacks. This is not good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what we did with this particular situation, because every situation was different, is that she was very much done what many, many young people do. I don't know if you're aware of this. What many young people do, Jordan, is they normalize this.
They think
They
it's no
actually
big
say,
deal.
this is no big deal. Like, yeah, I have anxiety. There's nothing I
Right.
can do about it. My friends have worse.
Right.
Did you know this is like this victim mentality? This like,
Yeah. No, I've
some
seen
people
that.
even brag or boast about it.
Sure.
And so here is what she did for her top 5 thoughts. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
What is freshman year going to be like? Number 1 thought in life.
Okay.
Now, while this might sound okay on the surface, if you're thinking about this and dwelling on this
Yeah.
like
I can get negative.
24/7, can you see that?
Yeah.
Number 2, I have no real friends. Number 3 is my anorexia story. What would my life have been if I didn't have it? Right? So she just doesn't like her body
Mm-hmm.
and wants to hurt it and cut herself and hates how she looks. What would happen if my one friend, would have happened if you're dating our friendship? It's almost like what would happen if me and my ex-boyfriend would have worked out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dwelling
And-
on the past. What would have happened if I took that job? I should have just done this. Yeah.
Dwelling on the past. And here's the 5th one. Is my friendship with my new friend even going to work
True.
out?
Yeah.
What do you think about these thoughts, my dude? What do you think
Just-
about them?
She's just dwelling in disappointment and sadness and negativity. And what I'm thinking about all these trends of these kids, and I feel so bad about like the human being's mind goes to this deep of a negative feeling, and we have to train it how to get out of it, which sucks.
Yes.
Like I wish
Yeah.
we were born with this positive outlook, and for some reason we're born with this negative outlook, and we have to train ourselves that that's not right and it's not healthy, because if we stay on that path, where does it lead you?
Mm-hmm.
it's really sad that we all have to go through that. And for some of us, it's a lot easier than others. And for others, we can't get out of it. We're still in that hole and we're digging it deeper and deeper. And it's like you ask yourself, like, why are we even here to do this?
Right. Before I tell you her thoughts after this, let's just chat for a second about this. Which are your top 5 thoughts? Everyone asks themselves this rhetorically. And Jordan, if you want to answer this, you can. Which of your top thoughts, which of your top 10 thoughts are really good for you? Which of them are unhealthy for you? Which ones are working for you? Which ones are not? Do you like them? Would you like to change your thoughts? Would you like to move number 7 to number 2? Would you like to move number 1 down to number 10? You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. I think all of us need to go to get out a piece of paper and do it. Let's do it. Not like me and you, but I mean, people listening. Why don't you write your top 5, top 10 thoughts down? No one's ever asked us to do that.
I have a whole episode on this. Go back and I can try to look for it, but it's called Sean Speaks Your Top 5 Thoughts. And when I tell my next story, can you actually go to the podcast page and find out what episode it is? I would guess it's probably around in the 20s, Sean Speaks 20. But yeah, while you look, is there any other thoughts? Like if you were to ask me here, let me put you on the spot, Jordan. What do you think about your wife? What would be some lovely thoughts that you think your wife, Danny, would have if we were to ask her? What are your top 5 thoughts?
What would her thoughts be, or my thoughts towards her? What would her? What do you think
her thoughts would be? Her thoughts, because she's just a.
I think her thoughts would stem around our children. You know, I guess first is like me and Jordan, right? Is everything strong with us, which we work on all the time, and we love our relationship. Are the kids thriving, and what can I do to make them better? Well, there is worry there, you know, with our one with a disability. You know, what's it going to be like for him? Is he going to get bullied? How much harder do I have to work to make him succeed? Like, I want him to succeed, and I know how hard it can be. And so those thoughts come across her mind and my mind often. Yeah,
man. Yeah, dude.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think, family dynamics is a big one. What is my purpose? What's the next step for me to do to lead my family in the way I think we need to go? And we have that conversation a lot, you know, and I think it should go this way. Excuse me. And she thinks it should go this way. And so we talk about it. And so I think that's on her mind a lot. And how to make, you know, like they say, when someone is like pregnant or having a newborn, you're nesting. You have a nesting phase.
Yeah,
right.
Yep.
I think our wives always have that. They're always trying to make the house better, trying to make the house beautiful and fun and workable. So I think those are some of the thoughts.
Yeah, man. Everyone listening, just ask yourself that question: which of your thoughts really need to be replaced? You know, like I worked with one woman in the past, and one of her top 5 thoughts was, "I want something sweet." And so, you know, when life got good or when life got hard, she would think about reaching for some type of food, some sweet food. And it wasn't good for her to be thinking that way. Sometimes people think too much about work. Sometimes people think too little about their family. Sometimes people worry too much. You can often find one of the patterns of this exercise is some people, they don't have any statements in their top 5. They just have questions like, are my kids okay? What should I do in this situation? Are they looking at me? But here's her thoughts. Okay, ready? Here's her thoughts after, and I hope you hear the beauty and the innocence of this. Ready? Her number 1 thought in life is so cute. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
I should go drink water.
Oh my gosh, that is so good.
Isn't that
Why
cute?
Did she think that? That's hilarious.
I asked her.
I said, hydrated.
I just started laughing too, and I heard it, and she was okay with me laughing. Like, why? She's like, well, I just realized like water's really good for me. I need to drink it. I feel better when I drink it. And this is a high level athlete we're talking about. Here's number 2. In a positive way, this is her thought. What am I wearing to school? Now, this could be a negative thing, but for her, she's fashion. She likes picking out her outfits, and she likes thinking about it. It was a positive thing to dwell on versus the past, which you really wisely picked up on, that this girl was dwelling on the dark past too much. Here's a saying that I teach all of my clients, and I'll teach you right now. Anxiety means you're thinking too much about the scary future. Depression means you're dwelling too much on the painful past. And we don't want to live in the painful past or the scary future. We want to live in the present. So this is a girl living in the present. Number 3 thought in life, I have a really cute cat.
Man, our pets are really important for our life, aren't they?
I think
That's
they really
common.
are for some people.
That's common.
I learned that. I learned a lot about mental
I've been
health.
so stubborn with not wanting to get a dog. Maybe I should be getting a dog,
It could be really good. Actually medically proven that pets are good for people's mental health. Now, I love number 4 and 5. If this doesn't melt your heart, everyone, this is a girl that was saying how much she doesn't trust her parents, doesn't like her parents, doesn't getting along with her parents, her dad, this. And number 4 thought is, I can't wait to do some art. So here we are, her self-soothing. And her number 5 thought in life, no particular order, was my parents love me.
Oh, that's sweet. That's really good. Like, it seems like us listening, and I don't know if we have time for one more story, but what I'm trying to sum up here is like the importance of us instilling into our child positivity and like love, because like for some reason they're not getting it anywhere else. And we have to continue to tell them that they are worthy and that they can choose their own path and they can speak up. And this is a lifelong challenge. I'm so sad that they don't get that anywhere else. We have to do it in the household.
Yeah, man. Well said. Well said. So, do you got the episode ready? Or
no, I can't. Dude, I'm looking through all of our. Sean speaks.
When you do your attitude of gratitude, I will find it. But I have one quick story for you, everyone. Ready? So, the year was probably around 2002, and I walked onto a high school campus in San Diego called Scripps Ranch High School. And here's a great story. My 5th success story I wanted to share. And I met these 3 teenagers. One was named Jason. One was named Amit, and one was named Jordan Higley, and he was a freshman in high school.
This is a terrible story. This does not belong in your story.
Awesome friendship with him and his family. They even took me to Hawaii one time, and they just loved me. They supported my work financially, and we just developed a friendship, and it lasted throughout the years. And now Jordan and I, we share a podcast together. That is a cool story.
It's a cool story, man. And I'm so glad you were walked on some random campus and we happened to walk down the stairs at the right time and you were there.
And I got to officiate the wedding with him and his high school sweetheart.
It's turned into a great story.
Danny Loburn became Danny Higley, and now they are happy, healthy, raising 3 kids and stepping into the challenge and the love of raising a child with Down syndrome and 2 awesome, healthy, just 3 healthy kids, and just so happy to know you and to be a part of this. And that's a success story.
Dude, that's so awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm the one who's honored. I mean, you're the one who did all the work. Like, I couldn't imagine being a 23-year-old like you, or however old you were, and started doing that and wanting to work
21.
for others. 21. You had this idea of like, you wanted to help the youth at such a young age. And like most 21-year-olds are going out partying, trying to figure out who they're going to hang out with, what to do, what to please them rather than helping others. So you've had that gift that's like a giving gift for so long. And I'm thankful. I think all of us listening are thankful. And I guess that leads me to my attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
To say that I'm thankful for Sean Donahue, for you literally changing people's lives. And to you, it's just what you do. You wake up and it's very natural and it's so great. Started off in youth ministry and you've helped so many kids, but now you're doing this thing on your own and you're helping these parents who feel so lost.
Yeah.
And you literally go into someone's house blind, not knowing what you're going to run into, and come up with a game plan like on the fly. Like, that is so cool. And not everybody can do that. You get kids to appreciate you and respect you and then change their methods because of what you instill in them. And then ultimately, I mean, I'm sure all the parents are just so happy for you. And I know my parents are, I know I am, and I know everyone listening is too. So, man, thank you.
Thank you for thanks for being a part of my journey and just working with kids and all these different nonprofits and different things that I've done. And thank you for your friendship. And thank you everyone for letting me share these stories. I hope they inspired you to just be a loving, amazing parent we were all called to be, to fill the world, our own children, with love and identity. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. You are a good parent. Oh my gosh, family life and parenting is so hard. I hope today gave you some tools and some inspiration. And if you're enjoying this podcast, then please do me a favor. Leave us a positive review on your podcast provider. And if you're hearing this and you're struggling as a parent, your family is struggling, or you need parenting tools for that one challenging, struggling kid, well, I will see you in a live Zoom call inside my VIP membership, and I will give you the specific tools you need to solve every problem you have and to stay strong, be close, and teach with.